Good morning. Here we are again with the undisputed hydroweight champion of the world, Harley Smith.
Yay!
There he is. I love it. Yeah, the champion. Yeah, yeah. The belt you have is so big. The heavyweight belt you have so big. You can't put it on. It just you put that thing on, you're stuck.
Oh man,
Uh,
it's I'm not that good, but I've been around the block a couple of times.
speaking of being around the block, I have a really good friend in the industry that used to work for Advanced Nutrients, and I talk to him all the time. And I ask, he said to tell you hi, and I said, "Well, do you want me to say your name when we're doing this podcast?" He's like, "Oh, absolutely, absolutely." He said, "Harley probably won't remember me, but it was always essential at trade shows or conventions that I listened to him talk." And Mike
Yeah.
Costi or Michael Costi is his name. He's a long time person from Advanced Nutrients. He's not there any longer, but we have become friends, and one heck of a guy. And shoot, everybody I run into really likes him. I like him too. Wealth of information. But Mike Costi, formerly from Advanced Nutrients, said to tell you hello.
Okay, next time you talk to him, say Harley says hi too. Yeah,
Okay.
I remember someone that used to work for them saw me at a show one time, and they said that all of the employees at Advanced Nutrients were required to watch my videos. So I
That
thought,
was Mike.
oh, okay,
That was Mike.
that's interesting.
He told me that conversation. That was him. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was Mike, right?
Yeah.
It's good though because really the science is the same. A lot of the nutrients are similar. A lot of it's marketing, that. Um, but there are some differences too. But if you really understand the needs of the plant, no matter what fertilizer you sell, you're going to learn something that you can apply.
Oh, that's right. That's right. And learning something, let's try to do that today.
Oh,
Um,
hey, let's do
la-
something.
yeah, let's do something. Last week I was really excited to share those soil tests with you, and
Hmm.
we've had a while to digest it, and I need to get. I just want to run through some things with you really quick, and
Okay.
just get some of your comments. This will be fun, and
Yeah.
I know you've looked at them, and I've looked at them too. Um, One thing that really stands out again, and I brought this up, is the amount of available phosphorus that just kind of poof appeared out of nowhere. Um, that's very
Hmm.
impressive because on these tests, we took a soil test in the beginning, and the laboratory will actually give you recommendations of nutrients to apply on the field per acre. So our first soil test, they recommended we apply 180 pounds of phosphorus per acre. 180 pounds. Anyway, we didn't apply any fertilizer. Um, we know this soil needs a jump start with biology. We know there's organic matter in there, and we know there's nutrients tied up. And so we didn't put any fertilizer on. We're just doing the biologicals and the biostimulants and so on and so forth. So after 45 days of applying our living water, we did another soil test in the same area. I can't guarantee it's the exact same spot, but when we do a soil test, we take multiple samples around the field, and I just kind of followed my same trail to make sure I was generally in the same area. Anyway, when the soil tests come back, the recommendation was zero phosphorus. They didn't recommend any phosphorus on this test, and we didn't put any on. Where did it come from, Artie? Where did it come from?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you can see it here if you're looking at the ppm data.
Yeah.
Look at that real quick here. I've got my sheet here printout. The phosphorus was before it was at 16 parts per million. Okay.
Yeah.
After the phosphorus was 50. So it was 3 times as much available phosphorus. And I don't know what kind of tests they're doing, if they're doing the Melic 3, which is normally what we do. Maybe it's a different one because of the alkaline soil. But either way, that's a lot more phosphorus. And the reason is The microbes. There's phosphorus solubilizing um, bacteria that literally, as they're growing, as they're dividing in the root zone, they're making organic acids and they're making enzymes. And some of those literally unlock phosphorus from the soil or from organic matter and then make it available, soluble and available to the plant. So that's what's going on. There was phosphorus in the soil, but when they're doing the test, if they're doing a Melic 3, for example, they use an acidic solution to to make
Mhm.
the phosphorus as much as possible soluble, and that's what they measure. So we're having
Mhm.
more soluble available phosphorus. That's what it's showing, and we know why. That the microorganisms are doing it. They're
That's
releasing
right.
it from the soil.
That's right. And it's a pretty high calcium filled too. There's a lot of calcium in there, a lot of high pH. And yeah, we're getting that biological function to kind of release some of that, the calcium phosphate bond again. Um, a
So,
lot of it's tied up in there.
yeah.
And
So a little
it's just a
calcium, the
slow, steady.
calcium goes up too.
That's right. And a slow, steady process. That's what we want to see. And this is good because we're making nutrients available, which in turn, um, after we monitor the soil and monitor the crop, we are going to have to apply more nutrients as well, like we always do. We have to have nutrients in the soil and we have to make them available. But at this rate, we can really focus on what inputs we want to use, better forms of inputs. We can take a look at the traditional things that we've been using and maybe fine tune that a little bit. Let's use a little bit more sulfur based nutrients. Let's, look at different forms of phosphorus we can use. Maybe a more natural, slow release phosphorus that doesn't have a lot of salt attached to it that will keep this slow and steady process of nutrient exchangeability, available. So that's kind of the plan. That's what we're testing. That's what we made it this far. Why not try to make it better, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And so phosphorus, obviously, that's huge because that's one of the limiting factors in soil.
Mm-hmm.
We know, the farmers have to add about 5 times more phosphorus to the soil than what the plant needs because it gets locked up and it's unavailable. It's only available for a little while. It's slowly available over years. But
Mm-hmm.
your the farms, if they were adding that year after year, and it was building up. Why not get a return on your investment? Why not let the
Exactly.
microbes do the work for you and continue to release the phosphorus that you already put in there? You already paid for it once, and get higher yields because the phosphorus is the energy element. It's going to energize, um, the roots, the root strike establishment, and it's part of the energy currency of the plant, adenosine triphosphate. So the plant has more energy, is more energetic in its metabolism. That's going to have widespread effects beyond just
Mm-hmm.
this is what phosphorus. This is the amount of phosphorus you need. And it's getting it up into the plant too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
Let's.
the one thing I thought, and I'll point out one of mine too. Another limiting factor is nitrogen. Did you see those numbers on nitrogen? The
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah. Yeah. I.
that was one where the ammonium nitrogen went down, but the nitrate nitrogen went up dramatically. Let me just take a look here. The
Yeah.
ammonium nitrogen, the nitrate nitrogen before was at 19 parts per million. After it was 37. It doubled, literally
Yeah.
doubled. And the nitrate is the healthier form of nitrogen for the plant use. Now, the ammonium did go down a little bit, which doesn't surprise me. Ammonium went down, nitrate went up. It's because of the microbes.
That's what
Again,
we want. That's
that's
exactly
exactly
what
what
we
we
want.
want. In
Good point.
hydroponics, about 90% of the nitrogen we use is in the nitrate form. No more than 10% in ammonium. If I did higher ammonium, it would be toxic because you don't have the microbes in hydroponics to convert the ammonium into nitrates. Well, here, those vigorous, enthusiastic community of microorganisms were doing the conversion. They were converting
That's
the
right.
ammonium, changing it into nitrates so the plants can take that up. And it also that during that conversion process, the pH goes down a little bit. It lowers your, and since you already had a high pH, it's nice for the microbes to help lower that pH. And it did. You see it on the chart too, where the pH came down some too.
Yeah, yeah, and that's great. That's a very good point. Starting off, boy, that's good. We had those high ammonia levels. Now we're going into the season; they've dropped way down, but the nitrate came up, so it's doing exactly what we want to do in nature. That's a biological conversion of nitrogen, and so that makes me really excited. Really excited.
Yeah,
We need to keep this trend going.
yeah, that is so cool. Um, now, the other one, I guess, I'll let you lead this, but the other one I noticed was the trace elements: iron,
Oh
copper,
yes,
manganese, and zinc. They all became much more available to the plant. Every one of them went up. The one thing that I question on the results was the zinc
me
because it
too.
went up so high. I just I have my gut is telling me that was maybe off a decimal point in that reading because it wasn't following the trends of everything else. It was just that much. I mean,
Yeah.
exponentially higher. I went, no, I don't think that's right. It tells me it's either a contaminated sample or they made a math error in the lab. But all the rest would seem like they were following the same trend, same pattern.
Yeah. And when I see those huge increases, what is that, like a 700% increase in one element?
Yeah,
I call it not applicable. I just exit out because that's yeah, that can't be realistic. That can't be realistic, especially if we didn't add anything on or do maybe add some residue on the shovel. I was from something else or what. I don't know. But when it's that drastic a change, I just kind of cross it out. Don't even look at it. We'll address it on our next test and see if it comes back down to earth a little bit. Because
yeah.
yeah, that zinc level's so high, we might as well start a zinc mining operation in the middle of the farm. Then maybe we can finally make some money off our crops, right?
Yeah, I just put a I don't exit out. I just put a big question mark by it. In this
Yeah,
case, I put
yeah,
two question marks. I question that. But let's get to what we know, though. I mean, what I don't question.
yeah. And
Let's
the
look at
trace
the
elements,
iron.
Harley. I mean, again,
Yeah,
yeah, these trace elements really did improve. So again, where where did they come from? Where in the heck did they come from? How is that possible? I know trace elements and micronutrients don't come out of thin air. I know that.
I know. Well, the iron, it doubled before and after.
Hmm.
So, and again, iron is one of the limiting factors, and we know that microorganisms. Here we go again. What did we do differently? Oh, that's what I
Yeah,
always say. What changed? What changed between this and left? The thing that changed was the dosing the microbes with a little bit of biostimulants to help keep them keep their metabolism high. So the thing is, microorganisms, many of them that we're adding, uh, make what's called a molecule called a siderophore. Literally means iron carrier. It's one of the best chelators of iron in nature. So it literally will make the iron soluble, more soluble under the high pH, under higher pHs, right on the surface of the roots too. And I think I mentioned this last week, but this is really impressive for the bulk soil differences. But
yeah,
I'd love to see what's actually happening in the rhizosphere, right on the root zone, where those microbes are just doing their work, doing their chemistry, they're also making Krebs cycle intermediates. They're feeding on the sugars from the plant, and they're making Krebs cycle intermediates, which are organic acids, and they're weak chelators. But that's part of nature too. Those weak chelators help keep the acidify the surface of the roots and make iron more available, especially if there's an iron deficiency. So what's going on is we're getting unlocking the iron that was precipitated out as an oxide. and turning it into an iron ion that the plant can take up. There's still questions I have because, again, it has what was the testing process that they used, um, but this but apples to apples, we
Hmm.
know that it's twice as much iron came up in the sample after the microbes were there.
Right,
Uh,
right. And
it's sometimes I see it.
in all fairness in the lab, this is a lab that I grew up with. I've used for years. You know, we have an account. I'm real familiar with them. I'm real familiar with the people. And so I do know there are, you know, different labs I could send it to, but it's just one thing that you come accustomed to and used to. And so we always use it. And it's right outside the door here. So it's easy.
Yeah, yeah. And also when I say what changed, the lab didn't change. So it's still a valid sample. You
Right.
know,
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
right.
Exactly.
It's not like in a super controlled condition because you can take, like you said, you take two different soil samples that's from the same area, but they could be a foot apart and be different.
Mm.
But not. But if you're taking several from those spots, you average them out, and it still should be, and it's not the exact number; it's the
Mhm.
trend. That's what I look at. It's not okay. This was 5 parts per million less potassium. I go, well, that's really when you're looking at hundreds of ppm, 5 is just very little. It's almost the same. But it's what's going up and what's going down over time.
Right.
That's what
Right.
matters.
And then there's all those free biostimulants that is being made from the microbial activity too. And I know that has a lot of effect on the trace nutrients too. Just all those organic acids, just from the whole process of um, you know the interaction between the bacteria and the fungi and the organic acids they make. They're constantly making their own biostimulants for the plant. And so with these numbers now that we get into the hot season or the more warmer summer season, now my next test, I'm expecting a lot of these nutrients to show up in the crop. I'm expecting a lot of these nutrients now to not be in the soil, but as the plant's starting to draw more moisture from the ground to keep alive, keep doing photosynthesis, I expect some of these numbers to start dropping off, and that's good. That's I want to see. I want these nutrients into the plant so we can have a bumper crop and everybody's happy and we can gear up to do it again next season. So this will be fun watching this all the way through.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. But that's where I always do in hydroponics. We always do the leaf analysis too, because yeah, you
Hmm.
want to see what's being depleted. I check my nutrient solution, see what's going down, and I also check my leaf to see what's going up, to see what the plant's actually taking up, because that's really what matters. It's all about the plant.
Hmm.
The soil. We do our part with the soil, but it's all about the plant in the end. And if they're taking up these minerals more efficiently, which I think they will, I mean,
Hmm.
I don't just think I know they will,
Hmm.
because some of what the microbes do is they literally stimulate the uptake of the nutrients like the calcium. They
Right.
they stimulate root growth, right?
Exactly.
The microorganisms will make indolacetic acid. So as the roots are growing, there's more root mass, there's more surface area to take up more nutrients from the soil. As they're actively growing, the root tips are growing, they're taking up the iron. It's only taken up from the very tips of those growing roots. So if the microbes are stimulating active root growth, that's going to stimulate active uptake, which is going to stimulate more chemical reactions per second in the plant, which means higher yield, better quality.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
yeah.
And here's a kicker for you too. So after our first harvest, because we'll probably get probably 6 or 7 harvests this year off this field with the crop it is, we're going to go in and line feed or water run, or for people out there, it'd be more like a root drench, 2 pounds of our extreme blend per acre after the first cutting. And so after the
Hmm.
first cutting, they remove the crop, then they start the irrigation again. We'll have the living water going, and then we'll also be putting on uh, 2 pounds of our extreme blend, which is amino acid, fulvic acid, humic acid, and kelp, all in one
Hmm.
soluble solution. So
Hmm.
we'll put that in a tank, mix some water with it, and put that on for quick recovery. That'll really help the crop recover quick and start growing again. And so that's in the works too. So I'm excited to um, see the test results on that too. I'm hoping that'll stimulate some calcium for our leaf analysis and our crop testing to be, show a little bit more calcium in the plant.
Yeah, it should. What I really like about that too, though, is that you're conditioning the plants against stress. As the summer's coming along, you're going to get a little more. Well, you won't get drought because you're irrigating. That's good. But still, you're getting that heat stress, and maybe a little salt stress at that point. Um, but when they're but that kelp and humic acid combination stimulates the plant to make more, as you know, superoxide dismutase, which protects the plant against stress. So if
Mm-hmm.
it does, protected, but it'll stay green longer and it'll recover faster. So when I was working with the growers out west, and we looked at the weather report, and we're going to have a heat wave coming. It's going to be 100+ degrees for 4 days in a row. Oh man, cut back that fertilizer in the irrigation. Don't do it. Take that nitrogen out, and instead fertigate with just the humic and fulvic acid and kelp, and maybe
Yeah.
a little nutrients, just like what you're doing.
Right.
Because that way the plant will produce 50% more superoxide dismutase. And that's going to protect the cell membranes, the chloroplast membranes, the mitochondrial membranes against the damaging free radicals. So if you know you're going to have some drought problems, make sure you before the drought, preferably,
Mm-hmm.
you do that so the plant itself can make plant protection agents against it. So
Yeah.
that's
A
we
little.
do that, and it worked. The farmers that I did that with were very happy because their crops stayed, continued to grow. They didn't stall out, whereas some of the neighbors' farms, they stalled out during the drought, during the heat, and then slowly came back. But we had momentum going. We just kept it going.
Yeah. Yeah. And stay ahead of the curve. Stay ahead of the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always. Boy, there's so many setbacks in, large agricultural settings. I mean, everything's against them all the time. The weather, the heat, the this, the that, the price of this, fuel, the price of power, everything's against them. And you're exactly right. Be prepared, do some positive things before the, you know, if you can see something coming, trying to do it before. So weather is something we can watch, and I understand it's not 100% accurate, the forecast, but we have an idea of what's going on, and we can take, approaches to try to do things to ease the situation we know that may be coming. So, yeah, have a good toolbox, be prepared, act early if you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and be able to activate those enzymes too. Like we said, that extreme blend is going to help with the stress tolerance. I'm using one example, but that superoxide dismutase molecule, plant protection molecule, has to be turned on by neither an iron manganese complex or copper zinc. And guess what?
Huh.
We've
Yeah,
got twice as much of that already available. So
right.
those will be turned on. One molecule of superoxide dismutase in the plant can do over 1,000 chemical reactions per second. So that's a major, that's a major protection against heat stress and drought stress right there. 1,000 times
Right.
per second. Where if those trace elements were unavailable, that iron was locked up, or that um, manganese or zinc was locked up, then it would be doing 0 chemical reactions per second.
That's
So
right.
we're going to
That's
stimulate the
right.
plant to make more of the molecule, and then we have the trace elements to turn them on.
That's
Nature
right.
has the answers, right?
We I sent you. Um, anyway, we're doing another one of these in Texas on a pretty large scale. It's between
Hmm.
600 and 800 acres, and the customer already sent me his pre-soil tests, and there's a lot of data in there. And I asked the customer, I'm like, can I forward these to Harley Smith just to get his eyes on it too? And he said, sure. And anyway, yeah, he watches this podcast. He's a large acreage farmer in Texas, and he is a big fan of Harley Smith. And so um, I got his permission to say, boy, do you want me to send these to Harley's? And he's like, oh man, that'd be great. Send them to Harley. I want his eyes on them too. So hopefully that doesn't take too much of your time, during the week.
Yeah, yeah, hopefully not. I don't mind taking a look at things. If I'm going to
Yeah.
really, if I'm going to really dig into it, I'm going to spend hours
Mhm.
analyzing. That's a different situation. But no, if it's a fan, hey, you know what? It's just fan mail. Okay, let me read it, and I'll help them out if I can.
That's
I got a
right.
call this week. There's a farm that's a European company that they're going to be building a facility in Zimbabwe, in South Africa, and
Wow.
right, and they wanted me to at least they're talking to me about doing some consulting with them on their nutrients and so forth. So it's cool. I'm keep those cards and letters coming, everybody.
Yeah, you're the right man for the job. That's good to hear. Well, I know. Yeah, we just got to keep doing what we do because this is great. I enjoy our time together and the things we talk about and our topics. We can be all over the place, but you know what? It's fun, and I think we're still learning, and hopefully we can pass that, information and knowledge off to other people so they can keep learning. Um,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So I
yeah. Oh
appreciate it.
man, it's exciting. Hey, this is one of the benefits of getting old is now I've learned a lot about the chemistry part and
Mhm.
the biology part. So now I can see how the two work together, which when I was younger, I didn't have all those years of experience.
Mhm.
I couldn't make the connections. And now at this time in my life, it's even more exciting than it's ever been because I say, oh yeah, all these things work together. And if we give nature everything it needs to continue that process, we're going to be seeing things we've never seen before in the history of mankind, in the history of agriculture. So
That's right.
that's the problem is by the time I really say, "Oh, I get it," then I'll be have to pass it on to the next generation. you know.
Oh, you've helped us all quite a bit, and yeah, the whole biological side. Welcome to the dark side, Harley. Welcome to the dark side.
Well,
And it's
they
it,
warned me about this in my misspent youth. They warned me. They said, "Harley, one day we're going to convert you to organics." And I was saying, plants are autotrophic. Hydroponics is it. Uh-huh. Well, I don't know if they fully converted me, but I know that my mind is expanded to include a lot more and more and more organics and soil
yeah,
biology. So I'm
yeah, it's the
thankful.
best of
So they
both
were right.
worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, best of both worlds. You got to use the best of each side. I'm not opposed to synthetics. I'm not 100% organic. I mean, I want good crops. I want good crops with
Right.
high bricks, with high minerals, and good yields. And it takes the best from both sides together. That's the best way to grow, regardless. Um,
Yeah.
and some people are
It is.
certified organic. We have to do it that way. And oh yeah, I'm 100% in.
Yeah.
I'll do the best I can in that. But the
Mhm.
best of the synthetics and the best of the organics combined, nothing better. Really, it's
Yeah.
nothing better.
You're right. I agree 100%. And the guys that are making the major organic nutrients would tell you the exact same thing.
Yeah,
Even though they're doing this 100% organic stuff, they say, really, the best results are where you combine the minerals and the biostimulants or the organics in a way that really unlocks the potential.
that's right. That's good. Boy, that's a good way to probably wrap up this show too. Once
Sounds like
again,
it.
great talking with you. Hopefully, I'll have some more data to go over. And anyway, I'll just keep shooting it to you. And if it's something we want to talk about, let's do it. And um, other than that, I guess you're going to get ready to take a trip to to Africa.
Well, I'm considering it. I might have. Let's do this Zoom meetings instead. I am taking a trip to Canada though in 2 weeks from now. just for a few days. And it won't be on Wednesday. It'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday thing. But they have 2,000 mother plants.
Holy man. Oh man.
They're
2,000.
grown. Yeah, 2,000 moms. They have over 100 acres under
Oh
glass.
my god. Oh my
So
goodness.
I'm going over there. They want to talk to me about doing some consulting, but they also want to kind of, I think they just want to show me around and kind of brag about what they've done. Yeah, so I'll be out in a couple of weeks from now. I'll be going over to Canada too. Okay, let's wrap it up. It's been a pleasure as always. I'll see you next week.
Okay, and hopefully your trip, all you got to do is drive across the bridge there. Hopefully it's not far.
Yeah, I'll tell you something real quick here. This is way off the subject here. It isn't that far, really. It's a day trip if I wanted to make it that. I mean, just across the river. It's close to Michigan. But one thing is I had a heart procedure, and they wanted to do some testing, and they put the radioactive stuff in me, and then to
Oh
get
yeah.
better visuals, right? And about a week later, I went to Canada, to over to Leamington, Ontario. And when I came back into the United States to the border, the nuclear alarm went off at the station, and they put the wand on me. They made me go over to a park on a certain place, and I had to go into this little hut, and they brought the dogs out. I set the nuclear alarm off with just that little bit of residual material in my bloodstream.
I
In
knew
some
it.
ways,
I
yeah.
knew. I knew it. You're from another planet. I knew it.
And then they said, "Did you have a medical procedure?" I said, "How'd you know? Is it in your documentation there? How did you know?" But it was
Jeez.
no problem, obviously. I wasn't.
Oh, that's funny.
It shows. He said that it shows that you were in contact with nuclear material. In some
Wow.
ways, I thought, well, that's crazy. But in other ways, I said, man, I am really glad that at the border they have such sensitive equipment to do that. I mean, that's security there. It makes me feel safer to be
Oh,
here in the
good
United
point.
States.
Yeah, that's good point. We
Okay.
need that. That's good. Thanks for sharing that.
Okay. All right. Anyway, that's way off the subject, but I'll talk to you next week and have a good one.
Okay, see ya. Bye.